Real Betis make 5 changes to the side that saw off Sassuolo in the third round of the domestic champions path back in December. Manu Gonzalez, who's made the bench in La Liga and the Conference League this season, comes back in goal. After 3 substitute appearances in the competition so far, Jose Antonio makes a first start in it up front. There are recalls to the 11 as well for Oscar Masque, Miguel Angel Romero and Pablo Garcia, who's got 3 goals in 3 games so far. Paco Esteban, their only player with previous Youth League experience before this season, is their 4-goal top scorer in the tournament. And there's also 5 changes to the Bayern side, which clinched their place in this round of 32 when beating Shakhtar. Notably, a first Youth League start for 16-year-old Wisdom Mike, who made Bayern's Bundesliga bench for the first time against Werder Bremen on Friday. Javier Fernandez returned for the under-19s at the weekend, having missed much of the season, and the Spaniard captains the visitors back in his homeland. Luis Schaefer makes a first start in the competition, whilst Paul Scholl and Felipe Chavez earn recalls. Lennart Karl, another highly rated 16-year-old, misses this one through injury. So we are off and underway. It is Real Betis, the home side, in the green and white to get the action started. Big opportunity this for both in this competition. And both in the sort of form that suggests they will certainly feel confident and capable of progressing through to the last 16 teams in the UEFA Youth League. And anyone who gets that far starts beginning to dare to dream. 2 free scoring sides so far, certainly, in their respective routes to this stage. Manuel Arenas, one of the ever-presents for Real Betis in their 4 previous matches, hasn't missed a minute of their campaign so far, the 18-year-old. Throw from Magnus Dalpiaz. Bayern have had 6 games so far to get this far, and there was big pressure on the last one. The success against Shakhtar, they had to win it to go through. Anything else and their competition would have been over. They'd taken only 1 point from the previous 3 league phase matches. All sorts of space for Jose Antonio here to bring that one down. Slight deflection on the cross off Dalpiaz, carries it through to Leon Klanak in goal. Comfortable for the keeper in the end. He has taken over the gloves this season in the Youth League. Leon Klanak is their first choice, having been unused on the bench 8 times last season, en route to the quarter-finals. And their run was ended by the eventual winners, Olympiacos. A little surprising, maybe, that run to the last 8 was the furthest that Bayern have ever gone in the Youth League. They ended up 8 points behind the league phase winners, Inter, this season. Again, there was space for Antonio, but it was just too far in front of him. Klanak able to come and reach that one first. First start for him in the competition, Jose Antonio, having come on in both legs of the previous round against the Sassuolo. First little period of Bayern possession, and as soon as I say that, it's presented back to those in green and white, albeit deep in their own territory. Winners at the weekend by 3-0. Real Betis is under-19. League leaders against Vázquez Cultural. Extending a remarkable season that they've had. They're 5 points clear of neighbours Sevilla in Group 4 of their domestic division. Only top spot guaranteeing progression through to the quarter-finals of the National League. Did go all the way to the final last season and lost it to Atletico Madrid. But they've seemingly built from that. A number of players have stayed for another season at this level. There's Leonard Becker for Bayern. That was in towards the Peruvian Felipe Chavez. They did have options in attack, but the ball was a little heavy for Denis Offley. There is Daniel Fragoso, who's in his first season in charge of this under-19 team at Real Betis. Took over in the summer. He's previously been the academy manager at the club. He's yet to see his side lose in any competition. Felipe Chavez. Plenty of room to reach that, and then delivers a dangerous cross. The defence coming under pressure. The clearance, though, was an emphatic one. Peter Gajdarov in charge of Bayern now, stepping up to that role for this season, having previously been the under-17 head coach, stepping up with many of his players to take over from René Maric. He joined Vincent Kompany's senior staff at first team level, having overseen last season's run to the quarter-finals of the Youth League. A pathway for the coaching staff as well as the players at this level. Oh, he's just going to be penalised there, Denis Offley. Had hold of Miguel Angel. He's a Turkish under-18 international, Denis Offley, but born in Germany and actually played for Germany at under-16 level. Only his second start in this competition. Second in succession, having begun the game against Shakhtar, which was played in Germany, in Gelsenkirchen, last time out. Jose Antonio with support from Arenas. He's the one that hangs up the cross, but there's a bit too much on it. Masquet scrapping to make something of it far side. Wasn't going to give that one up, but it's a little unfortunate. One fall back against another here initially. Wisdom might getting back to try and help out as well for Bayern. Denis Offley did well to come away with it. Felipe Chavez, another pocket of space when the ball comes his way. Goal scorer at the weekend. Dalpiaz. Back to Asp Jensen, the Danish under-17 international. And with Felipe Chavez once more. Leonard Becker. This is better on the ball from Bayern. And again, as soon as I say that, they've lost it. It's been a recurring theme. And now plenty of space on the counter-attack. Pablo Garcia striding onto it. Options for him in the middle. Denis Offley with the block when the attempted cross came in. This time away by Louis Schaefer. Some promising moments for both sides in the opening exchanges. Real Betis do look a real threat when coming forward in situations like this. Pablo Garcia again, but no way through for him this time. Seville-born player, started the first 3 games of their Youth League campaign and scored 3 times across the 2 legs against Kairat Almaty in that remarkable 11-1 aggregate victory. Winning both of their home games so far in this competition, scoring 9 goals and conceding 2 in the process. It's the challenge for Bayern today. Here's Ricardo Funes switching the play. Jose Antonio. Jorge Herrero. Trying to pick the pass. Look very comfortable in possession, no surprise in that, the Spanish side. Looking to build from the back here. Miguel Angel. Missed the previous game, but he's straight back in the side, the 16-year-old in midfield, of whom much is expected. Paco Esteban is perhaps the star name. Scored that hat-trick in the first leg against Sassuolo. The only player that is previous in the competition before this season. He was with the Atletico, part of the side actually that beat Real Betis in the domestic championship final last season. This is better from Bayern in the build-up again, much more threatening as it's scooped forward up towards the run of Jonathan Asp Jensen. Just a little shove from him in there, which was spotted by the referee, who was perfectly placed to do so. One of the Bayern players who plays regularly for their reserve side. They operate in the 4th tier of senior German football, and actually made a Bundesliga debut at the end of last season, back in May, now 19. Some concern over Javier Fernandez, and it will be concerning given that the captain has only just returned from injury. Made his comeback at the weekend in the victory over Werder Bremen for the under-19s. His first game since August. Big occasion for him, skippering the side back in Spain, whom he has represented at under-18 level, formerly on the books at Celta Vigo and Atletico. Joined Bayern back in 2023, did Javier Fernandez. They'll keep an eye on him at the moment. Real Betis looking long again for Pablo Garcia. That is becoming a feature. More often than not, he's been able to get on the end of that. Out comes Klanak again to claim it bravely and quickly. But much of the threat being posed by Pablo Garcia at the moment. Underlining why he was one of the most anticipated threats in this team. It's been a close one to call so far. Not too much between them in the opening dozen minutes of the match. And no real surprise in that, given the respective runs that they've been on. Asp Jensen looks really comfortable and stylish in possession, doesn't he? Frustration for Wisdom Mike. Just 16 years of age, on the bench in the Bundesliga for the first time on Friday. So much expected of him. Trying to come back from the offside position there, nearly but not quite. It's a player that has harboured big expectations really since he was about 13 years of age. When he first joined the club, it's a great fanfare. Big pressure on young shoulders. But a huge talent. I'm going to try and close down the goalkeeper here. Betis looking to play out from the back, and that could spell trouble. They were able to recover the situation in time. And this is a strong surge from Dani Perez. Another of their key performers. He's already made a senior debut. Did so very early in his career, actually, as a substitute in the Europa League in November of 2022. Still only 19. Played in this season's Conference League off the bench at Legia Warsaw in October. His progress might have been a little further along by now, but for a serious knee injury that kept him out for a long spell of last season. Pablo Garcia assessing his options. Support here from Oscar Masquet, who looked like he was in behind, and the referee has given the penalty. First big moment of the match, and it's the opportunity for Real Betis to get themselves in front from the spot. Oscar Masqué did brilliantly and was brought down. And there could be a rich reward to reap for Real Betis. Let's have another look at it here. It's a well-timed run. What wasn't quite so well-timed was the challenge that clearly caught him. Not maybe necessarily one that needed to be made by Lennart Becker. His first appearance since the end of last year. And that's a costly early contribution, potentially. Over to Leon Klanak to try and keep this one out, try and keep his team on terms. The responsibility will fall to Dani Perez from the spot. And he's blazed it over the bar. Oh, it's an awful moment. Pablo Garcia stepping up to strike it. And then looking straight back at the spot. Not going to spare his blushes. Even if he will feel maybe he might have had a case. Out to let off for Bayern. He's survived that scare and some. Looked initially as if Dani Perez was going to take it, but up stepped Pablo Garcia. 3 from 3 in this competition so far this season. And a horrible moment as he sent it way over the crossbar. Tempers boiling over already. Oh, we've seen the first big moment. And Bayern mightily relieved that they are still on terms. A bit of sorting out for Milos Milanovic to do. Still frustrated, I think, Pablo Garcia, isn't he? It's going to be a yellow card, but he's not the only recipient. Referee booking both of them for their part in the aggravation. So it's been a costly few minutes for Pablo Garcia. A missed penalty and now a yellow. Jesper Jensen also into the book. He's the Bayern player involved in that. Sparked up out of very little initially on the touchline. And a little bit of pushing and shoving followed as they went head to head. And it's sensible refereeing, I think, at this stage. And clearly both players were equally culpable. Long ball over the top. Had to be dealt with by Klanak, particularly with Jose Antonio in the vicinity. He was primed to profit. Now there's a flag gone up on the far side. Well, they're still counting the cost, aren't they? The home side of that missed penalty. Would have been the perfect platform for them against illustrious high-profile opponents to really get off on the front foot. Give themselves something to work with, but now they have to digest the disappointment of failing to capitalise. Jensen will try and chase that one down. It's guarded back to Manu Gonzalez. Decent distance on his clearance. Jose Antonio. Fine footwork from him. He's done well to get away from Down Piaz and bends it in dangerously. It's a good ball for Garcia. They'll have to settle for the corner. Lovely stuff from Jose Antonio. And it wasn't a bad ball either. It did reach its intended target, Pablo Garcia. Showed a bit too much of it to Dennis Offley, off whom it runs away for the corner. And a chance for Real Betis to keep the pressure on. Goalkeeper came to claim it, but the defender in front of him decided he couldn't take the chance. Bayern content to let Betis have the ball in this part of the pitch, but as soon as they advance any further, then they will press. It seemed to be the case so far anyway. A little bit of space for Antonio again. He's been pretty adept at finding that so far. Kusiasare is the one furthest forward, applying the pressure, leading the press for Bayern. Been a pretty thankless task for him so far this week. But plenty of time for that to change. Jose Antonio, good run. Arenas almost in. Klanak comes and claims again. Goalkeeper has been pretty unflappable at the back in these early exchanges, and he has been required on a number of occasions already. The German under-18 international, Leon Klanak, but he wasn't required from the spot when that penalty cleared his crossbar. Back on the ball here under pressure. Again, showing that composure. Kusiasare. It was awkward, wasn't it, for Manuel Arenas? Kusiasare showing the pace to get around him and almost behind him. Defender had to get the challenge right. And nicking it out of play for the throw and no more. But Daupias has done well with it. Javier Fernandez. Just about kept in play over there by Wisdom Mike. Comes his way again, couldn't quite react this time. Four goals in just 5 appearances for Bayern's under-19s this season. Wisdom Mike stepping up from the under-17s and already fast-tracked, as mentioned, to the senior squad. He'll certainly be hoping to have his say today. And this is promising for Bayern. Fernandez, plenty of options for him. Maybe just held on to it a fraction too long there. As Antonio was the target, now it will come his way. And again, a little fortuitously this time, but that's better. This is Dani Perez. Still with Perez. Ricardo Funes trying to force his way through. Will it sit up for the strike? Well, it's deflected into the path of Antonio again. And blocked behind by Magnus Daupias for the corner. Promising period of pressure this from Real Betis as we reach the midway point of the first half. They've been asking the majority of the questions so far. Does have a couple of goals, Ricardo Funes, in the competition. Scored twice on his first start in it, the 5-0 win at Cairati in round 2. It's the stage at which they came into the competition in the domestic champions path. Pablo Garcia to take the corner. It was cleared away, but more than that, Wisdom Mike is able to get on the end of it, and off he goes here on a super surge. Does have support from Aspiensen. It might come back the way of Mike, it does, and it's a big save from the boot of Manu Gonzalez, who reacted smartly. Still the danger maybe when the shot comes through to him from Felipe Chavez. Gonzalez right behind that one. But he was certainly extended by Wisdom Mike, who would have expected to score, I think, from that position. A little bit fortunate to find himself in it. Danny Perez at the other end. Really open game in this first quarter. And another corner to come for Real Betis. He's still thinking about the one that got away. Actually came through to him off the defender, but so invitingly into his path. And the 16-year-old couldn't quite find the finish. That was the follow-up, which was straight at Manu Gonzalez. And the goalkeeper deserving real credit for keeping his team on level terms. And now it is they who threaten at the other end with this corner kick to come. Committed a fair few forward for it, as you'd expect. It's cleared out as far as Solis. Goalkeeper down smartly, couldn't hold it. But that one never going to count. Was a chance though for Marcus Solis, wasn't it, just prior to that? Goalkeeper with further work to do here. Cut out by Javier Fernandez. Jonathan Asbjørnsen. Now with Wisdom Mike. Kusiasare taking over. And Chavez in the middle. It's a relatively isolated target there, but he's done well to get on the end of it and maybe make something of it. Dalpiaz can't quite force his way through forward from fullback. And the game's so stretched already. See what this means to both of them. Marcus Solis back doing the day job. Started both legs of the previous round against Sassuolo, his first appearances in the competition. Here he is again, requiring some assistance from his goalkeeper Gonzalez to complete the clearance. More height really than distance on that though. Chavez. Asking a bit too much of Mike. Goal scorer in the weekend win in what was only the second game of the second group stage of their league season against Werder Bremen. Kusiasare also on target. Back from Real Betis here. Antonio couldn't get the shot away, but was unselfish, just laid it off, and the effort, when it came, whistled wide from Pablo Garcia. Some good footwork in here from Jose Antonio. Goalkeeper, I think, was always secure in the knowledge that that was whistling wide and that he wouldn't be required. But he would have been struggling to get there. Had it gone the other side of the post, I think, such is the pace at which it was travelling. Kusiasare, such a threat up front. They have plenty of options in those positions at this level to Bayern. He's another that's been on the Bundesliga bench twice, back in December against Heidenheim and Mainz. He's played for the reserve side in the fourth tier already this season. He's a Swedish under-18 international who joined a year ago from Ike back home. Scored against Benfica on match day 4 in the league phase. One of 2 goals that he got, the other being the winner at Aston Villa in October. He's continued his run as Masquet here. Pablo Garcia wanted it back, didn't get it. In the way of Kusiasare, yeah, he did well to get something on that. Touch from Javier Fernandez was a little heavy. Plenty to ponder almost half an hour in. Two finely matched teams that we've seen so far, but Real Betis, the ones that will feel they should be ahead by now. Not necessarily just talking about the penalty. And of course there was that big chance for Wisdom Mike at the other end. They could easily be behind as well. Leonard Becker will be relieved that the penalty wasn't converted. He was the player that gave it away, and this time he gets the decision. Free kick is Bayern's. Becker again was looking to slide that through towards Magnus Dalpiaz. Not quite with the precision required, as it turned out. Austrian under-17 international Magnus Dalpiaz, such a threat down that flank. As we saw in a league game back in September at Greuther Fürth when he scored 4 times. Here's Fernandez trying to squeeze the shot goalwards. Manu Gonzalez had it covered. It's a lovely little touch from Kusiasare to his captain. Did well, really, just to open up the side of goal for himself, but never quite enough purchase in the shot to really extend Gonzalez. This is where Real Betis are looking at their most threatening, really. Pablo Garcia did well to keep it in. Might still get a reward from it yet. Get a go to get the ball into the box. Kusiasare will get the decision. Fairly clear-cut on that for the referee. You certainly see what he was trying there. Clever ball over the top, but Manu Gonzalez could also see what he was trying there and just got to it first, ahead of Jonah Kusiasare, who is perhaps beginning to grow in influence as the game goes on, becoming more of a factor up front. Masquet. Well, Betis falls back to halfway to hold on to it. Marcus Solis. Again, looking for Masquet, player who did so well to win that penalty in the first place. It was an awkward one for him, wasn't it? Just running out of room. Certainly had an eventful first half. Felipe Chavez. Dalpiaz. There's Becker. Now Schaefer, unused on the bench 4 times in this competition before getting his first start in it today, his first appearance in it today. Comes all the way through for Felipe Chavez, brings it under control nicely. Comes back his way. But nothing at the end of that. German-born, Peruvian under-17 international. He is still just 17, Felipe Chavez. Wouldn't like to call it, would you, just at the moment? Bayern perhaps getting a little bit more of a foothold than they've had at certain stages of the game. A reminder of their level at the end. No extra time, it goes straight to a penalty shootout to separate them, to decide who goes through to the round of 16. The draw for which happens at the end of this week. Matches to be played on the 4th or 5th of March. Quarter-finals in the first couple of days of April. And then that final 4-team tournament held in Nyon at the end of April to decide the silverware. Fernandez. Denis Offley. He will loft it in. The goalkeeper watched it carefully into his gloves, though, and was afforded the time and space to do so. He's certainly somebody, Jonathan Aspiensen, who will be expecting to have a say today. Looking to make his quality count. Of a number of this Bayern team who play regularly for the reserves rather than the under-19 team domestically. He's always likely to come back into contention today, given the importance of this one. And where the Youth League lies, of course, in their list of priorities at academy level. There's a source of disappointment in Bavaria that they haven't gone further than the quarter-finals in the Youth League. Wisdom Mike. He's had Bayern's best chance so far, back on the ball here, linking with Aspiensen. Fernandez takes over. Aspiensen, dispossessed, but fairly so, says the referee. And because of that, here comes the counter. Strong run from Jose Antonio. But his threat was well marshalled to ensure there was no greater threat at the end of it. Paco Esteban taking over, but he couldn't pick out Dani Perez in the middle. Nor could he fashion really anything himself, courtesy of the presence of Luis Schaefer, who made that much more difficult than it otherwise might have been. Looks to be feeling something. Aspiensen, bit of concern there for Bayern. Just mentioning his importance to the side. No wonder that Real Betis are paying particularly close attention to Wisdom Mike, given all the noise surrounding his potential right now. Here he is again. They haven't paid too much attention to him this time, though. He was in plenty of space. And now tries to turn provider. Aspiensen will retrieve it. Taken away from him by Oscar Masquet. That will be a Real Betis ball. Only one thought on his mind when he gets it, though, was the Mike looking to run at the Real Betis defence and try and make something happen. It wasn't a bad ball in from him. Nobody quite advanced enough to be able to take advantage of it, though. Ricardo Funes had time just to assess his options further forward there. Chase on for Jose Antonio to try and keep the pressure on. Becker with some assistance from Mike, who does appear to have switched flanks and stayed out on this right-hand side, having begun the game on the left. Decisively dealt with by Marcus Solis. Fernandez did well to get his foot to that. Here's Kusiasare. Aspienson brings it down. Betis with plenty back. Final 5 of the first half. Leonard Becker. Yeah, that will be a free kick. Dalpias just clipped by Manuel Arenas. Little clumsy from behind, always risking what followed. But a chance that he will feel he had to take. Bayern, who finished 13th in that league phase, which is why they're away from home against one of the 10 teams that came through the domestic champions path to get to this round of 32. Trying to impose their authority here from the free kick. Aspienson will take it. It's a deeper delivery. It's nodded down, I was going to say dangerously, but there was nobody really in position to make more of that. Arenas, cleverly done for Jose Antonio. Cross to close him down. Came the centre-back, Puljic. Back in position, he's the one that provided the threat at the other end a moment ago. Antonio, able to whip it in, good ball. So close again. Well, he's been at the centre of the story as Pablo Garcia in this first half. The player who missed the penalty has put that one over as well. Came at him very quickly, didn't have a lot of time to react. But his reaction that followed will tell you he will feel he should have scored. Jose Antonio did really well in the build-up to pick him out. Put himself in the right place, didn't he? Just couldn't quite find the finish. Well, if Real Betis don't go on and progress today, it will be particularly painful for Pablo Garcia. But he continues to look a chief threat in this side. Every possibility, if he maintains that mindset, that it might end up being his day yet. But not yet. Masquet. There's Garcia again. Forward by Solis. Manuel Arenas. Came off Dalpiaz. Or it appeared to, that's what they're appealing. Looks increasingly likely, though, that they're going to go in level at the interval. Let's have another look at it. Well, maybe not. It's a good spot, that, from the officials. Leon Klanak to clear it away. They have been improving defensively of Bayern of late. Under pressure at the back again here, though. Klanak in particular, just about able to do enough to deal with the danger. And now the threat at the other end, but offside against Wisdom Might. Not for the first time in this first half. But they are a team that have scored in every competitive game that they've played this season at Bayern at under-19 level. That's 26 matches in total, dating back to April of last year. Ingolstadt were the last team to keep them out. Scored in their last 15 away from home. Almost exactly a year ago since they last failed to do so at Karlsruhe. One added minute at the end of this first period, although there'll be a little bit longer because of the current delay. There's a little bit of concern over Manuel Arenas, given how he is moving right now. And Bayern have won the last 5 games in all competitions since they lost to Paris Saint-Germain 5-2 at home in the Youth League. But they are certainly being tested to the full today. Count themselves a bit fortunate maybe not to be behind at this stage. They still could be here. Pablo Garcia again. And this time it's off the bar. And hooks behind, high and wide, but what a chance right at the end of the first half. And it just hasn't been his half, has it? Pablo Garcia looked like he'd done everything right this time. And rattles the crossbar. The same crossbar that he'd skied his penalty high over earlier in the piece. When you factor in that missed chance in between as well, on the near post, he's done everything but get his goal. Astonishing stuff. What more does he have to do? That was the closest he's come. That was his best attempt of the lot. But ultimately, Bayern are still on terms at the break as the half-time whistle goes, and Pablo Garcia heads for the tunnel with his teammates, left to reflect on a quite astonishing first half from his point of view. But there is nothing in it at the break as the rain starts to come down a little more heavily in Seville. Half-time here in this round of 32 tie in the Youth League. It remains somehow Real Betis 0, Bayern 0. But so much still to come in this second half story. It is Bayern that get the game back underway. Playing in their change colours from right to left in this second half. And hoping to exert their authority maybe a little more than they were able for long spells of that first period. They have created chances of their own, and notably, actually, despite having 3 attempts at goal to Real Betis' 4, all of Bayern's 3 were on target. Albeit Manu Gonzalez was equal to the lot of them. None of Real Betis' 4 were on target. The closest, of course, the one that crashed off the crossbar from Pablo Garcia. A lot closer than he got with his penalty. But that all counts for little. It's all down to what happens from here, which of these 2 teams can stand firm, hold their nerve, and progress in this competition. For one of them, their Youth League season ends today. Straight knockout from here on in this competition now. That's something that they've not yet been used to this season. Referee content to let Bayern continue here. Fernandez, there's a touch in there from Kusiasare as well, and then it's worked wider for Offley. And in! Felipe Chavez, Bayern breakthrough. Just a shade over a minute into the second half. And the visitors have themselves in front, having survived so many scares before the break. It's a second UEFA Youth League goal for the Peruvian under-17 international Felipe Chavez. And that's a tough one for Real Betis to take. Player who scored 7 times for them domestically at under-19 level this season. They had plenty of options, didn't they? Carved a way through into space for Offley. Felipe Chavez able then to take that touch to set himself, and there was no chance for the goalkeeper. Right in the corner. That could be so significant. Chances had been at something of a premium for Bayern prior to that. If anything, the presence of the defender helped him out a little bit there, made his mind up. Unsided the goalkeeper, but it was well out of the reach of Gonzalez. And now it's over to Real Betis to try and battle back from behind. Bayern continue their streak of scoring in every game that they've played, in every competition this season at this age range. Real sense of determination regarding how they started this second half. But some defending for them to do already here. Test of character, isn't it, for the Andalusians? And for Pablo Garcia in particular. Turns in the cross, stabbed goalwards and just about held by Klanak. Although the whistle is now gone. Jorge Herrero up from the back. We've certainly seen enough in the game to suggest that this is far from finished. And the way that Real Betis have immediately picked themselves up and begun to ask the questions again does bode well regarding their prospects, but they have to remain switched on at the other end. Can't take too many chances in going in immediate pursuit of parity, and they've had to concede the corner here. With Wisdom Mike lurking, there weren't many other obvious alternatives. Manuel Arenas putting safety first, really, with that one. Jonathan Aspiensen has gone across to take it. Bayern with the opportunity, maybe, to really establish a grip on the game if they could score a second in quick succession. This would be some statement. Can they profit from the set piece? It's a packed penalty area awaiting the delivery. Aspiensen takes it, not a particularly threatening one, though. Danny Perez away. Becker's underneath it, but straight up in the air from him. Helped on by Schaefer. Goalkeeper had to get that right, didn't he, Klanak? Well, some start to the second half. 27 successive games now in which Bayern have scored. They've only lost one of their 11 away matches in all competitions this season, and that was in this competition, 3-1 at Barcelona in the Champions League phase. They've won 9 of the other 10, and they're ahead here. Oscar Masque switching the play, finding Arenas. And it goes more threateningly this time. Important touch from Leonard Becker. Although the flag did go up. And it was the correct call, I think, looking at that, wasn't it? Paco Esteban just offside. I looked to get him a little more involved. The big chances were for Pablo Garcia in that first half, but Paco Esteban is the only player in their squad that has outscored him in this competition. The leading marksman with 4. Played in the previous 2 seasons of the competition for Atletico Madrid. He scored on his debut, actually, back in October of 2022 in the Youth League for Atleti against Leverkusen. Made another couple of appearances for them last season. Now, that's a good ball pinged forward by Pablo Garcia. Chase on for Jose Antonio. He's done brilliantly. Oh, and is really unlucky. Garcia may yet make something of it. Has support from Ricardo Funes. Now with Masquet. Bayern with everybody back in position again, breathing a collective sigh of relief. But they certainly can't rest easily here. Plenty waiting again in the penalty area. Plenty back for Bayern, dealing with the danger. Mr. Mike tries to bring it clear, wants the free kick. He's going to get the free kick. And they'll settle for that in the circumstances. Merest of contact, but enough to shove him off balance. But let's have another look at this. Jose Antonio did well initially to reach it. He got a little bit lucky, didn't he? But he was so alert to that. And Paco Esteban in the middle couldn't quite turn it in and reward the improvisation of Jose Antonio. Mike at the other end finds the goal scorer, Felipe Chavez. Fernandez wasn't going to give that up, even though there was precious little room for him to operate in. Well, they ended up 2 points behind the top 6. He got home advantage in this stage of the competition, did Bayern, after that league phase. 3 points clear of Paris Saint-Germain, who missed out, despite beating Bayern pretty heavily by that 5-2 scoreline at the end of November on match day 5. A yellow card is out here. And if Real Betis are able to turn this around and progress, it's going to be a costly card for Jorge Herrero, because he will miss the next round, if there is to be one, for his side. I think that must have been for something that he said. Initial challenge there by Ricardo Funes. And here comes the first change of the game, and into the action for Real Betis comes Carlos de Roa. Manuel Arenas making way. Free kick, trying to catch out the goalkeeper from Chavez. Not quite. Cheeky attempt to do so from there. Goalkeeper had left a little bit to aim at, but he had time to get across. So Carlos de Roa did start the first leg against Kairat in round 2 and came on in the second leg of that tie. He is on for Manuel Arenas. First change of the game. But not one that you would necessarily have expected to try and change the balance of play at fullback. So potentially forced upon them. Good ball in again in the direction of Kusiasare by Dennis Offley. Downpiat's running onto it and running into traffic. Becker tries to get back and does. Couldn't take any chances with that one, Leonard Becker. Another of the 19-year-olds. Player who conceded the penalty in the first half. Looks ever more costly now, doesn't it, for Real Betis in the current situation of the game. Carlos de Roa, his first real involvement here, looking for options from the throw. Ricardo Funes. It's a fourth straight start in the competition for Ricardo Funes, who's played in all but the first of them. Will there be another one for the side from Andalusia? A debut season in the Youth League. Good footwork, in goes the cross and turned behind as it had to be really for the corner. That came off Puljic, who was a very late addition, by the way, to the Bayern starting lineup. Paul Scholl had initially been named at centre-back, but Puljic called upon right at the last minute to take his place. The Croatian under-19 international. In goes the corner. Again, it's into a really threatening area. As was the cross, and that had the goalkeeper worried. Klanak at full stretch, couldn't quite get there, but ultimately didn't quite need to, as the header whistled wide. It's a lovely ball in, and it was well attacked, and only just wide. Kusiasare has Aspiensen ahead of him here. Jonathan Aspiensen taking over. Comfortable for the goalkeeper. Straight through to Manu Gonzalez. 3 times on the bench in La Liga so far. Named in the matchday squad without getting on 4 times in the Conference League as well. The Spanish under-19 international. Just run away from Fernandez, but he's got the ball back here for Bayern. Wisdom Mike twisting and turning and unable to take it any further. Now the chase on is for Paco Esteban. Schaefer's gone across with him, but Esteban will make him work for it. Still so finely balanced this, despite that Bayern breakthrough. Won back well here in dangerous territory by Aspiensen. Slips it through. Wisdom Mike is in on goal and puts it straight at the goalkeeper. Hit with power, but Manu Gonzalez in position to make the stop. And to keep his team potentially within touching distance here. This could be a big moment. Could be significant in the story, we shall see. Didn't have to do a lot to keep it out in the end. Gonzalez. And that will go down as a missed opportunity. Kusiasare hucks in the cross. Comes back his way, eventually. Dropping out of the sky. The rain having relented a little bit during half-time. Yellow card out quickly. Challenge, I think, there for Paco Esteban, or from Paco Esteban, has earned him the caution. Joins Herrero and Pablo Garcia in the book, and Leonard Becker has stayed down. Confirmation of that yellow for Paco Esteban. Playing with a famous footballing father. His dad played professionally as well, a striker with the likes of Malaga and Girona and Elche. Recently made his first appearance of the season for Real Betis' reserve team. They play in the 3rd tier of Spanish football. Paco Esteban came off the bench for them in defeat against Merida just over a week ago. Reflective of his progress at this level. So an hour in Seville. Bayern's lead is a slender one. Leonard Becker again coming under some pressure now. Puljic wasn't expecting to start today, but he slotted pretty seamlessly into the side. Gonna see another change shortly from Betis. But this is better from them up until that final ball, which was just a little overhit for Paco Esteban. Acknowledges the intent to find him. He'd made the run, but the pass wasn't quite precise enough from Perez. Again, Kusiasare winning it well in the air. That's becoming more of a feature. Becker battling for it. Dani Perez has taken it off him though. And found Pablo Garcia. This spells trouble for Bayern, who are backpedaling. Still with Pablo Garcia. And this time it's off the line, just to add to this remarkable story. Went back well by Oscar Masqué. He will flash it across goal, but with a little bit too much venom. And the challenge on Carlos de Roa, over on that far side, one for the referee to sort out. He's made his mind up pretty early and produced the yellow card for Wisdom Mike for making it. Second Bayern name taken after Aspiensen. Booking's just beginning to add up now at this stage of proceedings. Well, he claimed he won the ball, but it got an awful lot of Carlos de Roa as well. That was an excellent effort, wasn't it, from Pablo Garcia, but equally matched by the defending. The goal line clearance to deny him yet again. Goalkeeper did get a hand to it as well. Here's the free kick. In towards Jose Antonio, now has to scamper after it. And did well. Did even better there to open up the space for the cross. That space didn't last long though, because Dennis Offley came careering across to charge it down. Really good tempo to the game. So those changes have happened. Pasco Esteban making way. Doesn't add to his tally. Rodrigo Marina is on in his place. Here is Pablo Garcia. The other change, Miguel Angel Romero, replaced by Ivan Corralejo for what remains. Still over a quarter of the game, plus potentially a penalty shootout if required. Daniel Fragoso opting to freshen things up at this stage. Taking off Esteban, a big call though. De Roa hasn't been on too long either. Battling for that with Magnus Dalpiaz, who will settle for the outcome.
Cambio en el Bayern München. Se retira con el número 11, Wisdom Mike, y entra con el número 19.
Bayern change, their first of the game. No surprise maybe at this juncture. Well, Wisdom Mike coming off, hasn't quite been able to get his goal. Michael Scott, his replacement. Not a bad replacement to be able to call upon. He's a regular with the reserves this season. 10 times off the bench for them. The 19-year-old. 3 years the senior of the player that he's just replaced. One goal in the Youth League so far this season for Scott, 3 across his career in the competition. It's the 12th time that he's played in it in total. Masqué helping it on to Pablo Garcia, still as heavily involved as ever. Making the run here, Rodrigo Marina. His first involvement is to size up the cross, which was just a fraction in front of his intended targets. In it goes again, though. Bit of pinball in the penalty area. Bayern being forced back, hanging on a little bit at this stage. Not much by way of respite for them. Real Betis keep on coming, keep asking the questions. Masqué. Gonna have a go. Plenty of power, but always rising. And never quite troubling the target. He's been a feature, hasn't he, though? Forward from fullback. An attacking outlet, certainly, for those in green and white. Well, they had a super season last season, Real Betis, in reaching the domestic final to qualify for this competition for the first time. Remain unbeaten in any competition this season, but that record in real doubt today, under real threat right now. Our under-19s have played 28 matches before today in all competitions. Haven't lost any of them, they've won 22 of them. Referee's going to pull this one back. Five points clear of Sevilla and 14 ahead of third place Granada in the domestic league Group 4, the section that they're in. Looking to reach the quarter-finals of the National Championship. Stage at which they beat Las Palmas last season and then knocked out Sevilla in the semis. Only failed to score once at home this season, Daniel Fragoso's team. That was in the goalless derby draw with Sevilla back in October. It's the only home game actually all season that they failed to win. 15 victories in that one draw in front of their own fans. Space here for Pablo Garcia. They're far from done in this one. Pablo Garcia thwarted this time by Clanac, the goalkeeper at full stretch, kept it out. Midway through the second half and still no change to his story. Sweet strike on target this time, but the goalkeeper equal to it. And he's put a penalty over the crossbar. He's hit the crossbar with another. He's had an effort cleared off the line by a defender. And now another shot on target, well saved by Leon Clanac. And still Pablo Garcia can't get his goal. Javier Fernandez, the Bayern captain, is the player down. And given his recent injury record and absence for much of the season, that will be a little more worrying on the Bayern bench for Peter Gajdarov. There he is, the German-Bulgarian in charge. He's been part of the academy coaching staff at Bayern since 2021, after a couple of years with Nuremberg. First season in charge of the under-19s. He did have a spell as Danny Garm's assistant 2 seasons ago. Stepping up from the under-17s at the end of last season. And having to make a change here by the looks of things, but there will be further alterations. Not forced upon him, but dictated maybe by the current situation in the game. So the goal scorer coming off, Felipe Chavez, going to be replaced by Luis Richter, the 18-year-old who scored last week domestically in the 4-1 win at Köln. And that is a concerning sight, isn't it? Enforcing that other change upon them. Fernandez can't continue. So on in his place. That will be a setback, losing the Spaniard in Spain today for Bayern. Danger again with Pablo Garcia. Whips it in invitingly. Back in again by Garcia. The other player coming on, by the way, Guido Della Rovere, the Italian, in that double change. Scott's first notable contribution. He'll keep the pressure on. Masco did well in dealing with that pressure. And it goes again. Oh, excellent hold-up play. Pablo Garcia takes his time, and wide it goes. On goes his misfortune in front of goal. It's really well done by Rodrigo Marina to try and tee him up there. Flashing the finish, always just wide of the target this time, though. Just pulled it. He's one of the standout performers in this side, one of the most high-profile players in the Real Betis team. He has appeared already a couple of times in La Liga for the first team. He's been the one on the end of virtually all of their chances today, without being able to make Bayern pay. And the longer it goes and the more chances that come and go, the growing sense may be that it is just going to be one of those days for him. When Real Betis can ill afford that to be the case. Match of this magnitude. They're in uncharted territory in the Youth League, in their maiden season in it. First straight knockout game that they played. Can they restore parity here? Corner is taken short. Pretty comfortably cleared away, but back it will come from Betis. The onus very much on the home side. They appear ready to rise to the challenge, appealing for the free kick there for a handball that wasn't given. So all the way back they go to Herrero, and further back to Manu Gonzalez. Free kick given. Michael Scott going down. Referee Milanovic being kept busy at the moment. Fourth season refereeing in the UEFA Youth League for the Serbian. Just the second game of this season, but he got that right looking at that one. Coralejo charging in. That was the handball appeal that wasn't given. Not as far as Pablo Garcia. All sorts of options here for Real Betis. Not utilised initially, and the ball needed to be better. A real scrap at times, isn't it, out there? Everything so closely contested. That was a painful one, certainly judging by the reaction. Felt that, did Aspiensen. More sorting out for the referee to do. So you don't think you could really apportion too much blame there on Coralejo, who was entitled to go for it just as Aspiensen was. You can understand why it was painful. Even more painful, the award of the free kick the other way. Particularly if Real Betis can capitalise on it here, but it's too deep, too strong. Harmlessly behind. Time just starting to run away from them. Certainly put himself about since coming on, hasn't he, Coralejo? Scored on his debut in this competition off the bench against Kairat. It's his fourth appearance as a substitute. in the 5 games played in it under Fragoso without yet starting, but certainly having his say in trying to extend this tie. Well, he took some stopping. And the referee has given the free kick, which Real Betis want to take quickly and do, and they may yet profit from that. 3 or 4 in the penalty area. Jose Antonio trying to cut back the cross. It's cleared by Becker. He's taken over the captain's armband, by the way, after the injury suffered by Fernandez. Ricardo Funes. Pablo Garcia. This would mean so much to him if he could finally get his goal. Not like that, though. That one more comfortable for Clanac, who joined Real Betis at the age of 6, Pablo Garcia, and worked his way up through all of the various different youth teams and age ranges. Debuted with the reserves in 2023 and signed professionally just last month. Deal through until 2029. He's responsible, isn't he, for virtually all of those attempts on target, and a couple off target as well that could be costly. Debuted in La Liga off the bench in the win against Mallorca just a couple of weeks or so ago at the end of January. His team edging closer with Jose Antonio down here for Real Betis. He's been lively throughout, but feeling the pace a little bit perhaps at this stage. He's lost his shin pad in amongst all of that as well. Chase on here for Rodrigo Marina. The intention was to return it to him from Dani Perez, but it didn't work out that way. Frustration beginning to build in the home ranks. Rodrigo Marina scored twice on his youth league debut, that 6-1 win against Kairat back in October, with which they entered the competition. Won by 5 goals in each of the 2 legs against the club from Kazakhstan. They are readying further changes here. Antonio Gonzalez amongst those who's about to be called for. Last dozen minutes of the 90. Rodrigo Marina. He did get there, it appeared initially, then takes a tumble. There's very little in that, though. Dennis Offley got a bit fortunate by unable to come away with it with Aspiensen. He's maybe looking for it, but the contact came. You can see how he celebrated it as well, just how keyed up these Bayern players are at the moment. How close they are to a place in the round of 16. So Gonzalez will come on and take the place of Jose Antonio. No surprise given what we saw a few moments ago, where he was appearing to be suffering a little bit. And another change, we'll see the introduction of Adrian Martin in place of Jorge Herrera. That's an attacking move, needs must at the moment. Midfield player on for a centre-back will require a little bit of a reshuffle. And he arrives with those instructions to impart. That type of territory in the game now, isn't it, really? There's Michael Scott. It's a clever ball. Aspiensen on the end of it, goes down looking for the penalty. Doesn't get it. Maybe the referee's interpretation was that he was looking for it, because he'd reached the ball first. There wasn't a lot by way of contact, though, was there, from Marcus Solis. He did just leave the leg in a little bit, but clearly didn't catch him when doing so, as Aspiensen was hoping that he would. Looks like Ricardo Funes nominally has dropped further back since that change, and Herrera going off. Dello Rovere content to head for the corner flag already. 17-year-old Italian in his first season at Bayern. Did well stretching to reach it, did Becker. Might come back his way again here and does. But he's just struggling to get out a little bit. That was far from convincing. Here's Jonathan Asbjørnsen. Again dispossessed in the penalty area. Strong challenge, an unfair challenge to win it back in the end. Says the referee, cautioning Luis Richter. Substitute into the book. He felt it was there to be won. Once again, Asbjørnsen going down in the box. Wasn't really even appealing for that one, though, in fairness. Back come Betis. Defender trying to stand his ground has lost out here, but that had gone behind. Was the correct call to the relief of Lennart Becker. Did well initially to keep the ball in play. Did Antonio Gonzalez. So fired up, aren't they, Bayern? Massive match for these players at this stage of their careers. They are closing in on a vital victory. Draw made on Friday for the round of 16 and for the rest of the competition, actually. They will know their route should they survive what remains today. Scott getting a footing, just getting back. Ricardo Funes has to get it forward first time, really. Pablo Garcia trying to turn provider after the misfortune that he's had in front of goal. Asbjørnsen holds on to it, finds Dennis Offli. Kusiasare still offers them an outball in those sort of situations. This time, though, he wasn't able to make it stick. Gonzalez. Ahead of him was De Roa. Cleared by Richter. And pinned back inside their own half of the field here. Everybody back behind the ball for those from Bavaria. Marcus Solis. Advancing up from the back, keeping that ball in play and delivering the cross. He did really well. And it still hasn't been dealt with. He was trying to take the extra touch before getting the shot away was Adrian Martin, and he wasn't afforded the time or space to do so. Corlejo. Those changes have made a difference, though. Fresh legs. An extra threat towards the finish here. That requires the clearance from Klanak. Kusiasare did well. Scott may yet profit from it. He had support from Asbjørnsen as well, who he was attempting to locate with that touch. But the pattern has certainly been established in these closing stages. Space again here for Betis. Plenty waiting in the middle. It didn't get that far. It's cut out by Becker. Kusiasare. It's a clever ball. Well timed. Dello Rovere was in no mood really to head for goal. And it's ultimately cost him possession. Joined from Cremonese in Italy for this season, a regular for Bayern's reserves. Brought on to try and help them over the line here in the Youth League. Pablo Garcia in space. Rather wasteful this time, though. And he is running out of time if he is to salvage his afternoon. That horror miss from the spot. Looking ever more costly. But followed by a series of opportunities that came his way. Many of them he did really well with, without being rewarded with his goal. Bayern feeling the pace. Just the referee is well aware of the time he will need to add on because of situations like that. Magnus Dalpi, as it was, who was down. That clock is probably ticking along very slowly for Peter Gajdarov right now, in complete contrast to the vast majority inside the Ciudad Deportiva Luis del Sol. Another Bayern change late on. Had a good game, hasn't he, Asbjørnsen? Certainly been a factor throughout. He makes way for the last few minutes. On in his place will come Tim Binder. He's been a goal threat recently in the domestic league, 3 goals in his last 4 league appearances for the German under-18 international. He'd only scored twice actually all season prior to that current sequence. So he's in good form right now. Just runs away from Pablo Garcia. Well, they've won 4 of their last 5 away games, Bayern, in the Youth League coming into today. Defeat at Barcelona, the only exception. Before those 4 wins in 5, they'd gone 9 without success on their travels in this competition. Dating back, actually, to October of 2019. Goalkeeper couldn't take any chances there. It was awkward for Manu Gonzalez. Bayern will win it back with Schaefer, and all the way back to Klanak. Oscar Masquet to retrieve it and take the return pass. Challenge comes in from Dennis Offli. They've done a decent job, Bayern, so far at holding what they have, having scored less than 90 seconds into this second half. It was a picture of composure again, wasn't he, Manu Gonzalez? So comfortable with ball at feet, even with Yona Kusiasare right in his face there as he was. Forward by Pablo Garcia. Last minute of the 90 now, and then we'll find out how much will be added on by referee Milanovic. De Roa was calling for it wider instead for Gonzalez. Now De Roa. Corner to come. They are going to have to do it the hard way, Bayern, if they are to see this through. Concentration the key in what remains. De Roa making his presence felt as the corner goes in and then flashes all the way across the face of goal. Off Puljic, wasn't it? It was the Bayern head that reached it. Wasn't necessarily where he was intending for it to go, but it proved ultimately effective enough. For now, anyway. They've got 6 more minutes to survive, though, with Bayern here. In goes the corner once more. That's important from Scott. So 6 minutes of stoppage time for Real Betis to salvage it and try and force a penalty shootout. Would go straight to penalty kicks rather than extra time if it ends all square, but Bayern still hopeful that won't come into the equation as Scott goes cross-field. Wasn't the best of balls for Binder, as it turned out. So Betis have it back and have the free kick. Oscar Masquet. Corralejo. There's always been somebody in the way for Bayern so far. Kusiasare now on the counter, heavy touch. Enables Solis to take it off him. Pablo Garcia is going to reach this. This time he's unselfish. That's really well worked, and a big chance for Betis. Oh, and wide it goes! From Adrian Martin, with a huge chance to square the game in stoppage time. They'd done everything right, picked a way through perfectly, but he couldn't quite apply the finish. Oh, those are the merest of margins we're talking about. And is that confirmation that it is just not their day? If it's not Pablo Garcia coming close, it's the substitute, Adrian Martin. But brilliant in the build-up to fashion that wonderful chance for he and his side. But it's a chance spurned, another chance spurned. And Bayern breathe a huge collective sigh of relief. Still somehow on course for the clean sheet that will see them through into the round of 16. But we're not yet halfway through stoppage time. Hard to imagine Real Betis will get a better chance than that, though. Here goes Scott. Skipping through, trying to settle it at the other end. Looking to catch out Manu Gonzalez on his near post, the goalkeeper having none of it. That really would have been harsh had the visitors suddenly scored their second. Would have been a scoreline that far from tells the tale of how the afternoon has unfolded. But it did look as if it might open up for him at the end of that run. Is that going to run out of play? It is. Which increases the odds of Real Betis running out of time. But Bayern's still not there yet. Been such a fragile-looking lead right the way through this second half. Since Felipe Chavez provided it for them just after the restart. Nobody inside this stadium, which is the training ground of the Real Betis senior side, are going anywhere at this stage. Senior side who play in the Conference League knockout round playoffs this week away at Ghent on Thursday. It's seemingly set to be a significant setback, a first defeat of the season for the under-19s, unless they can do what they've been threatening and haven't yet managed in the 2 minutes that remain. Too far forward, though, from Pablo Garcia. Well, it's going from bad to worse for Pablo Garcia at the moment. Frustration building all the while as Scott wins it back for Bayern. He's provided them with a real option off the bench in the latter stages, looking lively. And they'll be content here through Tim Binder to head towards the corner flag, with just a minute of the 6 that was added on remaining. He didn't quite get as far as the corner flag, though. Taken off him, potentially costly. Corralejo. He will get the free kick. Real Betis have to take it quickly. There's a card out for the challenge on him as well. Booking right at the end of proceedings for De La Rovere. He'll take that one for the team. Oscar Masquet just getting himself in front of Kusiasare, but the cross cut out when it came by Denis Onflé. Options again here for them. It's a cheeky attempt from De La Rovere at the chip, which never really got off the ground in any sense. So hoisted high as it has to be over that backpedaling Bayern defence. Oh, and this time surely it's him again. Pablo Garcia can't force it in. And that must settle it. That must just underline and provide confirmation right at the end that it's not going to be his day. One final chance was it for Real Betis, and certainly for Pablo Garcia right at the end. A day in which he's done everything but score. He couldn't manage to get his goal, and because of that, it's Bayern who go through. They did score right at the start of this second half, thanks to Felipe Chavez, and they've hung on and survived scare after scare to make it through to the round of 16 in the UEFA Youth League. 1-0 the final score, but only after this one last chance for Real Betis and for Pablo Garcia. Had that horrible penalty that he blazed over the bar when he felt he slipped on the spot as he struck it in the first half, and then a series of chances that followed, including this one right at the end. And huge credit to Leon Clanac, who was the reason why he couldn't take that one. The goalkeeper did brilliantly, not once but twice, to preserve his clean sheet, to help his team hang on to their hard-earned lead, and to send Bayern through as Real Betis suffered defeat for the first time in any competition this season. The first time in 29 games in total this season, but it's the one that matters most. Their Youth League campaign, their maiden Youth League campaign ends here. Bayern go on. It's finished Real Betis 0, Bayern München 1.